again, wonderful to be back in Iowa. It's an honor to be here. If you are elected to the United States Senate, you will very likely enter into a Congress that has divided government. And Republicans now are grappling with the issue of divided government and expectations in divided government. And starting with you, Mr. Whitaker, what should Republicans' approach be within divided government when it comes to health care? Should the approach on Obamacare be piecemeal and try to get some kind of compromises within that construct, or should it just be full repeal, comprehensive alternative?
The solution for Obamacare and its replacement is an all-of-the-above approach. And we saw that play out over the course of the government shutdown. And what we saw was a Republican House that attempted to negotiate really either a delay in the individual mandate or piecemeal approaches to solve some of the biggest challenges in Obamacare. And what we saw is a president and a Democrat Senate that was unwilling to even enter into the discussion. So in our divided government, if we do not have a majority in the Senate, we of course would need to work together, because I think that's what Iowans and everybody in this room is really frustrated with, is that we cannot seem to get anything done in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a budget passed since 2009. We have now passed a debt ceiling that has eliminated any hard cap on our nation's debt, and it just grows exponentially almost until February 7th when we do it all over again. And so I think as I get around the state and I talk to Iowans, I hear two things. They want someone that will stand on principles, that will work to eliminate Obamacare and its job-killing regulations and law, but they also want somebody that can get something done. And when they say get something done, that is mean work on behalf of the American people to solve the big problems and challenges of our day. And right now, those big challenges are debt and deficits, they are Obamacare, and they are the economy and jobs. And so as a United States Senator, I will go there with an open mind, but I will certainly stand on principle. And one of the principles I stand on, as a small business owner, I know exactly how painful Obamacare is to my small businesses, and I know how painful it is to someone that I just talked to today, Tammy, telling me that she had, the first time in her life, had economic uncertainty about the future of her job. And those are the kind of people that I'm going to fight for.
Thank you, Matt. Same question, Scott Shaver.
Thank you very much. I'm also an all-of-the-above approach. If you look at how the Democrats are handling their part of it right now, they're going the piecemeal approach. They're taking the employer mandate and they're saying that piece, well, we can just put that behind for about another year. Give it a couple of months and who knows, maybe the individual mandate will be next. Who knows, maybe the entire thing will be pushed back a year if they can't even get this website. If I was to win this election, I would go for the full repeal and then start over piecemeal. This thing it's a well-intended train wreck. It's got great intentions. We're not trying to deny anybody health care, but at the same time, we're trying to do it in a sensible fashion. As a Republican, this is something that we have to look at as a major opportunity for our party. Right now, you have 6 Republicans on stage. It's taking up the majority of this debate. This is something that we're going to be able to carry into the 2014 elections. Any person that voted for this piece of legislation, they need to be held accountable in 2014. And that's a win-win for the Republicans because not a single Republican voted for it. So this is something that we need to do. We need to take the leverage from this and hold the people accountable that voted for it and use it as an opportunity to expand our party and expand our presence in Washington.
Thank you, Scott. Sam Clovis.
Nobody in here has mentioned the fact that the last person to speak for this bill before it was passed was Bruce Braley, our presumed opponent. And I just want to make a comment that anyone in this room would be more competent than the presumed Democratic candidate. The issue here we're talking about, and I want to talk about, if we want to talk about compromise, I have often said, and I've said out on the stump, and I've talked about this in my campaign, I will compromise with anyone who has the best interest of this nation at heart. I will compromise and work with anyone who will determine what the best interest of this country is, because the only special interest in America, not represented in our Congress, is you. We have to take a look at what's going on here. And if compromise is what we saw in this last deal that we saw here, what kind of leadership led to that? A $2 billion carve-out for the minority leader in the United States Senate, a set aside for the widow of the wealthiest human being ever to serve in the United States Senate? Is that compromise? Is it compromise kicking the can down the road? Is that the compromise that Iowans want from their next senator? Compromise. Well, compromise on those things that matter to Iowans. Because if you do what is best for the nation, you will do what is best for Iowa. No one in Washington ever talks about outcomes or consequences. They only talk about output and counting and keeping track of things. So the next senator from the state of Iowa ought to go to Washington and work with Democrats and independents, and even some of the socialists that are there, on those issues that matter to the nation and are what is best for this nation. I will never compromise on values. I will work with anyone who has the interests of the nation at heart.
Thank you, Sam. Paul Lundy.
Sam put it very well, having the interest of the nation at heart. I do. I published last spring a brand new book. In fact, Ms. Abramovich has a copy of it, and some of the other members, the people here, have a copy of it too. The book is called Meltdown, Second Revised Edition, and it consists of about 300 pages. It includes 12 proposed constitutional amendments that I call the Second Bill of Rights. These are the things that it covers. It covers the electoral vote. It covers some American traditions. For example, it says that the continued use of "In God We Trust" on our coins and currency is okay, and it's okay to celebrate the traditional Christmas. Okay. Most importantly, it has a balanced budget amendment that will really work and bring deficit spending to a screeching halt. That's got to be done really ahead of everything. A balanced budget. Stop deficit spending. Okay, my number 4, Social Security needs to be made permanent. My number 4 amendment will do that. Same thing with Medicare, number 5. Number 6 will improve the federal court system. No more lifetime appointments for federal judges, not even on the Supreme Court. 10 years renewable. Okay, sovereign immunity gets rid of the idea the king can do no wrong. No default. With my no default amendment, the question of default goes away completely. No default. Ever. Okay, my term limit amendments is number 10. I have an amendment number 11 is amending to amend, and number 12 deals with congressional rules like the filibuster. Gone.
Thank you, Paul.
I just want to remind, the question is, what should the Republican approach be to healthcare and divided government?
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Expectations in a divided government. Of course, I do believe that we have to go in with our expectations high. And that is defunding, delaying, ultimately repealing Obamacare and replacing it. But we do have to have solutions, and we have to propose those solutions and make that convincing argument that that is the right thing to do. We face this situation with a divided House and Senate here in Iowa, and yet we have had amazing results over the past 3 years as we look at legislation. So I think there is a way to make progress in the Capitol. We do have to get along, all of us. We need to stand on our principles, but we also need to work together. But back to the alternatives, we need to present those in a convincing manner. And there are a number of alternatives that we can propose for Obamacare. The first would be insurance portability, allowing an employee to move their insurance from employer to employer, allowing small businesses to self-insure. We allow that of large businesses right now. We can allow insurers to sell their products over state lines. And we could also offer tax credits to those that purchase their insurance privately. So those are some market-driven alternatives that could be offered up as suggestions for replacement for Obamacare. But we also need to put caps on medical malpractice claims, and we have to have tort reform. So those are some things that we can do. We can work with others in a meaningful way in Washington, D.C. We do it here in Iowa, and I think I'm the person that can take those Iowa values to Washington, D.C. and work through these very important issues.
Thank you, Joni. And David Young?
I was proud to watch the House of Representatives and the Senate fight Obamacare, defunding it, delaying it, repealing it. You know, Ted Cruz was on the floor for 21 hours, and it was so nice to see finally the Senate deliberating after Harry Reid and the Democrats have logjammed it for 5 years. So that was great, and we need to do more of that. But you know, we need an all-above approach, like everybody said. But this law may fall under its own weight. I mean, we may not have to defund it or repeal it or anything like that. This law is so complicated. And there are over 1,600 more rules and regulations, delegations of authority that are going to come out, that are going to be implemented because of this law. And who knows what that stuff is going to be. And we have the IRS involved in this as well. And that'll be rolled by the consumers and Americans. So, all of the above approach, I'll work with anybody to get rid of it too. But we do have to replace it with market-driven solutions. You know, the state barriers, dropping those lines, tort reform. We need, price transparency. You know, you can go to a hospital and then go to a doctor's office and get the same thing, but there'll be different prices. We need to see what's going on with our healthcare. You know, you know what you're paying for when you go to a veterinarian, but when you go to a doctor's office, you have no idea what you're paying for. And many times, what you're paying for is paid for by tax dollars, by Medicare. Taxpayers need to know what those prices are at the hospital and at the doctor's office. Thank you.
Thank you.